Hello and welcome to An Abundance of Books. Today we're doing a tier ranking. Also, I'm definitely pulling this off. Comment, tell me I'm pulling it off. If Chandler can do it, I can do it. As I'm starting to wrap up my 2021 reading, I wanted to take some time to go over the 2 challenges that I gave myself every month that I completed every single month, which is impressive in and of itself, but I also wanted to make sure that those challenges were actually producing good reads. So the 2 challenges that I had were to do the buzzword readathon every month. That one I am going to continue in 2022, so it doesn't quite matter as much. But the second one was to read a book published in the current month, but not the current year. I don't think I'm going to be carrying that one into 2022, but I am interested to see how it will stack up when I do this thing. And I decided to go by tier ranking because I thought it would provide more insight rather than just giving you the star values for everything. All of those are listed in the description, all of the books that I read in which month, for what challenge, and what star rating I ended up giving them. But this is just another way to talk about them that I think will be more helpful. And more fun because the tiers that we have are all based on Hamilton songs. This is a new challenge to myself going forward. Anytime I do a tier ranking, pick a musical and have all of your tiers based on that. That just seems very on brand for me. First tier, top tier is Blow Us All Away. This is just like an objectively good book that I think everyone should read. Next is You'll Be Back. This is something where I definitely want to read from this author again. Maybe it wasn't my perfect book, but I am very excited about them. The next tier is Satisfied. This is something where like I got what I needed out of it. I don't necessarily need to check out this author again. Wasn't anything bad in it. I just like had a good time. I'm satisfied. Not I will never be satisfied. I am just satisfied. The next tier is This is something where maybe this wasn't a good book and I do still want to check out the author and like see what else they'll have but far in the future. Or it's something where like it was a slow burn and it took a while to get there, but it did eventually get there. Then we have What Did I Miss? Where I just don't understand the hype around it. It was fine, but I just like, I don't get it. And then the final tier is Say no to this. You should just say no to this. No one should read this. Just not a good time. Before we get started though, I am going to rearrange these books. I'm going to do all of the BuzzFeed ones as one thing, and then after that do all of the month ones. And I think I'm going to put them in chronological order. If I can remember. I'm not going to check notes. This is just going off of memory. Okay, so I think that's all of them. The top row right now is all of the buzzwords, and then the second is all of the months. We're good to go? I think we're good to go. The first buzzword was dream, and I read The Dreamers by Karen Thompson Walker. I'm going to say satisfied. This was an interesting book. It is a pandemic book, and there were a lot of things in it that I did like, but it wasn't anything super special overall. But I liked a lot of the ideas that it presented, but like once it was done, I was like, yep, I was done. I'm immediately regretting that. I wrote the first one and I'm like, should I change it? Should I change it? I think I might change it to wait for it because it is very slow. We're just gonna keep going. Next up is Stay Gold, and that one I am gonna say satisfied. I know the author has written some other stuff, but like I don't really need to check it out. This one I read for the color buzzword. Next up is No Time Like the Future by Michael J. Fox. This was, the buzzword was time. I'm going to put this in say no to this. And I think the big reason is Michael J. Fox is a very interesting person, but he's written, I think this is his 3rd memoir at this point. And I think one of the previous ones would be a lot more interesting and would cover things that you really cared about. It felt like I was missing a lot of his story by jumping in on this book. Next, Written in the Stars by Alexandria Bellefleur. This was for space words, so stars. I'm going to put this in You'll Be Back. because I was back already. This is a romance series and I've already read the sequel to it, and I just really enjoy her writing. I think that she's really fun. This is a female-female romance, and if that's something you're interested in, I would highly recommend it. The Housekeeper and the Professor. This was the buzzword, was house/home. This is a tough one because I did really enjoy it, but I wanted more from it. So I guess wait for it is where it would go. Because it's not what did I miss? Because I understand the hype around this one, although I don't know. It's not hyped in the traditional sense, but I have heard people speak highly about it. So this is about a professor who has dementia and he can't remember things from day to day, and the relationship that he built with his housekeeper and her son. It is also translated. And I thought that it was good. It was just a little bit too sweet for me. I thought it would get like sadder, and it wasn't that sad. So I was still kind of waiting for it to get there. Justified. Next we have the Guncle. The buzzword this month was title. So Guncle he's the children's gay uncle. This one I'm gonna put in Blow Us All Away. I think this one is such a fun book. I think people will really enjoy it. It's so completely charming and handles some really tough stuff, but it's done with so much humor. I'm just really excited about this one, and I know Stephen Rowley has written a couple of other big books that I can't wait to read. Next, The Last Thing He Told Me by Laura Dave. Buzzword was last, and I'm gonna put it in Satisfied. This one was a 3-star book for me, but it gave me everything that it could give. It's not a thriller, it's definitely more mystery about a woman whose husband suddenly like goes on the run and she's trying to figure out why. And it's interesting, but it's a little slow, a little not very thrilling, but overall well done. And I think this is more for a mom audience, and I think that they would really like it, and I don't really have any complaints. It was very good for what it was. Next is Never World Wake. The buzzword was time of day, and I said waking time is a time of day. A very bad time of day for me personally, but a time of day nonetheless. And it is going in Blow Us All Away. This is such an incredible book. It is part Groundhog Day, part murder mystery, part House of Leaves, and I will die on that hill. Does it make complete sense? No. But neither does House of Leaves. It's so interesting. It's so captivating. It's got a beautiful cover. It's something that has to be read to be believed. So you should read it. It will blow you away. I promise you. The tier ranking wouldn't lie to you. Next is Dark Places by Gillian Flynn. Buzzword was dark. And I'm going to put it in... Oh, that's tough. I think I'm going to put it in You'll Be Back. I've now read everything Gillian Flynn has written. I think she has only the 3 novels, and then The Grown Up I've also read. And I've enjoyed all of them. I think that this one went very different, and it showed a very humorous side that I wasn't expecting, but like was pleasantly surprised by. And the mystery was interesting, and the pacing was all good, and I don't know, it was just really enjoyable. And I don't know what she's doing right now. I should probably check, but I am definitely going to be reading whatever she puts out. Okay, next up is Clara and the Sun by Kazuo Ishiguro. The buzzword was elements, and so it was fire, water, earth, air, and I did sun is fire. It works, but I'm gonna put this in what did I miss? Because I know that there are people who like this. I don't think there are quite that many people anymore, but Kazuo Ishiguro is a Nobel Prize winner, so it was something very hyped and very highly spoken about, and it's not good. It's about a robot companion for kids. I want to put it in Say No to This, but I think this is just like it's hyped for some people, and I do not understand those people. I love a robot, artificial intelligence kind of story, and this I didn't like. So like your bar was already really low and you didn't even meet that. It's just, I don't get it. Then we have The Lost Apothecary by Sarah Penner. Buzzword was lost. And I'm going to put this in, wait for it, because there is an interesting story in here, but the book gets distracted from it. The big problem is it's told in 2 timelines, and we should have just nixed one of the timelines. We only needed one of them. So if you can trudge your way through the plot line that like doesn't really matter, you'll get to the good one every other chapter and you'll be fine. You just have to wait for it. The final book for the Buzzword Readathon is Christmas Shopaholic. The buzzword was season, and we all know Christmas is a season and winter is a season. They're 2 distinct entities. I'm gonna put this in satisfied. It's something where I don't think I could handle another book from this woman's perspective. She is very haughty and entitled and is constantly shopping, and she drives me a little bit nuts. And her whole family is like very eclectic. It's very British humor, but I did really enjoy it. I think it's a super solid Christmas book, lots of fun antics in it, and I'm very satisfied with what I got. So at the end of the buzzwords, this is where we stand. A couple of really big standouts and not too many disappointments. So I'm happy with that. We're going to move on to the books that I read in the same month but a different year. I don't remember the year for all of these. First up, An Anonymous Girl by Greer, Hendricks, and Sarah Pekannen. Say no to this. It is bad. I love Greer, Hendricks, and Sarah Pekannen. The Wife Between Us is definitely my favorite book of theirs, and I also really enjoyed You Were Watching You, I See You. Oh, wow, it's just not in there. You Were Not Alone. That is their latest one, and I really enjoyed both of those, but I think An Anonymous Girl is not worth it. It is not a representation of what these authors can do. It's incredibly slow, it's incredibly boring, there's virtually no twists. It's bad. You should skip this one and read one of their other ones. Then we have On the Come Up by Angie Thomas. This is absolutely going to blow us all away. I really, really enjoyed this one. I've read all of Angie Thomas's stuff at this point. I think there are only 3 novels, and this is my favorite one by far. I think that Bree is such an interesting character. I think that the whole world building around her is so interesting. Just everything about this book really, really works, and I can't see anyone not enjoying it. I also think it's a more complex story than The Hating Game was. I think The Hating Game is very safe, and this one is just more worth your time. I don't know what it is, but I love On the Come Up, and it will blow you away. Then we have My Lovely Wife by Samantha Downing. This is going in You'll Be Back because I've already read another Samantha Downing almost immediately after this one. This is about a couple who murders for, foreplay reasons. And it's so good. It's such a good book. There are things that I would change about it. It's from the perspective of the husband, which is not my favorite thing to read from, but it's such an interesting story. The characters are so interesting. The ending is really good. It's just an excellent book overall, and I want to read everything Samantha Downing has written. I just loved it. Next is The Passengers by John Marrs. Oh, what do I do with this? So here's the thing. I love this book, but the ending is trash. Like, it's so bad. And I have read other John Marrs. Yeah, okay, yeah. It's gonna go and You'll Be Back because it won't blow you away because the ending is such a letdown. Like, even if the rest of the book is so good, I can't justify putting it in Blow Us All Away. But You'll Be Back. I have read a lot of John Marrs, and I think in this book you can definitely see the potential of the kind of book that he does, which is multi-POV around a shared experience. And he does that really well, really short chapters, really high energy, high action. It's a great time. I really love this one. Next is Jonny Appleseed by Joshua Whitehead. This one I have to put in What Did I Miss? And I'm sorry. I do actually think I know what I miss. It's just not a book for me. The biggest thing I took away from this is Joshua Whitehead writes poetry, and there are little snippets of that in here, or just like beautiful lyrical writing, and that's really where he shines. It was in making this a novel that I felt like it really struggled, and the non-linear timeline didn't really work for me. I know that it's totally a me thing, which is why it's going in What Did I Miss? I think it's a good book. I think that it has good things to say. It's just not for me. Would I pick up what he writes in the future? Probably. I think I'd be picky about it, but I would be open to picking it up. There's part of me that always believes that I'm going to broaden my horizons with poetry, so if he comes out with a full-blown poetry collection, sure, I'll read it. You can hold me to that. Then we have I'll Be the One by Lyla Lee. This one goes in satisfied. I think that it's a cute little story that wraps up nicely and you get what you want from it. It is about a girl who is determined to be the first plus-size K-pop star, and she's competing on a reality TV competition to do so, and she meets a cute boy, and it's a good time. It's very sickly sweet. Like it's very wholesome. I think if you need just a good time book, this is what you want. Then we have Her Pretty Face by Robyn Harding. This is gonna go and wait for it, because the thing that I found the most interesting about this, I guess it wasn't actually in the book. It was after I'd finished it, I was looking up some stuff on Goodreads, and I found out that this is sort of a fictionalized version of a real case or a real person, which is so interesting. So the book didn't really give me as much as I wanted, but the world around it did. And it has kind of stuck with me, but again, not for anything that the book really did. Next up, The Organ Thieves by Chip Jones. I am going to put this in Say No to This. I feel bad that the only nonfiction that I have here are both in Say No to This, but I do like nonfiction, I promise. It's subtitled The Shocking Story of the First Heart Transplant in the Segregated South, which is a very interesting story, but this book does not focus on that story for virtually the entire time. I feel like it doesn't focus on what you want it to. And it is also written by a white author, which I feel like if you're going to be learning about a story like this, you want it from a Black perspective. To have that sort of view on the segregated South, I feel like that is important. So I do think that the core story is a good one, but I don't think that this is the way to take in that story. Okay, Song of Achilles is next. This one is going in What Did I Miss? And I know. This is just not a book for me. And I struggle to see why it is a book for everyone else too, because it just feels so meandering to me. It feels really unfocused, and I hate Achilles. I think he kind of sucks. There are definitely moments in here that I enjoy, but I think also having previously DNF'd Cersei, it's just that Madeline Miller isn't for me, but I'm very happy that she is for other people. Definitely What Did I Miss? Next, The Twisted Ones by T. Kingfisher. It's cut off up there. It's just, my brain takes a second. I am going to put in wait for it, but in like a reverse way, because the beginning of this I really, really enjoyed, and then the later half I really didn't enjoy. So like, just wait for it. It'll get worse. This one I think had some really great moments in it. It's horror, and I still think about the scene with the thing in the window, but the book overall didn't maintain that kind of momentum, and it goes super fantasy at the end, which is something I don't really enjoy. But I do want to try more horror and maybe try to find more of the things in this book that I did like that don't have all of the things in it that I didn't like. Next is I Let You Go by Claire McIntosh. This is going in What Did I Miss? Because this is a hype thriller, and it's not very thrilling, and it's pretty lame. There are a couple of twists in here, some of which I liked, some of which I didn't, but all of the ones that mattered I saw coming. And there were a couple of twists that were just like throwing in a twist for the sake of having a twist. And I hate that. Like, that just seems so disingenuous. Like, your story doesn't need it, don't include it. There were definitely things that I enjoyed in here, but overall I just missed the point. And then the last one is The AI Who Loved Me by Alyssa Cole. This one's going in wait for it, because the ending takes a turn. This is pitched as a romance between a woman and an AI. but it focuses a lot more on the science fiction-y aspect of it, especially the dystopian world where the government is controlled by the Hive, which is basically like a Google, Amazon conglomerate that controls every aspect of your life, which is cool. And I did like things about that, but it didn't go far enough science fiction for me or far enough romance. I still think it was really interesting. I do really enjoy Alyssa Cole. I just think that, like, I'm gonna wait for a different book of hers. And there you go, we've done it. Definitely more weighted toward the bottom in regards to the monthly books, but still, like, really not that many that I didn't enjoy. Just, you know, more middling ones, which I think is how all reading works. You'll notice it's basically a bell curve, although these don't represent star ratings, so what do I know? Anyway, that is it for my 2021 challenges. I can just read whatever I want for the rest of December, which is very exciting. Thank you for joining me. I hope that you enjoyed this tier ranking. I will see you very soon for another video. Bye.